Oops. Gotta shut off the Rachmaninoff. Don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. All right. I think we're gonna start making our herb oil. It smells good. This is just for the veggies. Good morning, buenos días. Estoy aquí. Buenas. Let me know who's here. Buenas. Hello, good morning. Let me know who's in the chat. Strong heart, strong mind. Buenos días, ¿cómo está? We are doing well, thank God. It's another hot day in Panama City. We had a couple of cool days. I was so grateful for that. I'm making some herb oil because we're gonna be roasting some veggies and some, this is thyme, fresh thyme. And then I'm gonna put some rosemary, salt and pepper. Buenos dias, Jewel, nice to see you too. I like that name. I worked with a girl in Florida. Her name was Jewel also. Beautiful woman. She had that beautiful black hair. Oh, so pretty. All right. This is fresh rosemary. And I need a little more. Romero, that's what they call rosemary here. Good morning, buenos dias. Let me know who's in the chat, you guys. Come on, I need names. Another hot day in Panama City. You guys heard me say that we're going to be making a root vegetable salad today because I always want to keep in mind that the majority of you watching me are in the US and it's October, so it's starting to get a little bit chilly. So my recipes are going to keep you guys in mind, whether I'm doing soups or whatever. Jay Brown, I put a potato in my speedo. You're so silly. And you're on time too, So crazy. No one's listening to you now. All right. So I put fresh ground pepper and rosemary and thyme. And because I love a little bit of heat, I'm gonna put some red pepper flakes in mine, but you don't have to. All right. So we're gonna let that sit here because some vegetables that I cook, I'm gonna toss them in the herb oil and put them in the oven. Okay, so that's that. You can always have that. Let me put a bit of garlic. I can do a little garlic. Garlic helps everything, right? Today I'm having coffee. I felt like it. just because I'm still working on trying to drink unsweetened coffee. I'm not there yet. I have to say, I like a little. I use 1 pack of Splenda. I found this fruta del manje, and I'm thinking it's monk fruit. I couldn't find a direct translation, but I know Sonia uses that instead of. Does anybody know what that is? Fruta del manje. I should know because I'm in a Spanish-speaking country, but I think it's monk fruit that you use instead of regular sugar. I don't use white sugar in anything, so. But I do have a little bit of brown sugar. But I do have brown sugar in my kitchen. I mean, white sugar. I just don't use it. Sugar is just bad. Bad, bad, bad. I remember I used to make a yummy red velvet brownies I used to make. Like when I go into a party and then you do that creamy cream cheese topping. That stuff was so good. But when I think back of how much sugar I would put in there, oh my God. I feel bad now. So at this point in life, there's no way I can eat that again. I cannot. Chopping some garlic. That way we're gonna have that in our herb oil. And you can use that oil to brush bread if you want to toast some bread. So the herb oil is really, and it's good for veggies. So if you ever want to roast some vegetables, just make a big batch of your herb oil and leave it in your, that is extra virgin olive oil, so it's not going to curd or just get solidified. So you can use that. All right. So let's put some garlic. My feeling is you can't ever have too much garlic. I love garlic. How's everybody doing? How was your week? Was anybody in the path of the storm, the hurricanes? Okay. Yeah. White sugar is bad. Bad, bad, bad. And that's what I tell people. If you want to change your lifestyle, if you can attack the thing that you think you are addicted to, like sugar, sugar can give you an addiction. It can become an addiction. So, all right, this is there. So now I also need to make a vinaigrette to pour on top of my salad, to toss it in a little bit, not too much. So let's do a vinaigrette. That one, where's my other? Oh, there. That's why when I buy anything in the jars, I rinse them out and I put them at the bottom in my cabinet because I never know when I'm going to need them. And also, when I make my pickles, which is a pickled cabbage, and I want to give it to somebody, so I always have an empty jar. So you don't have to go buy a mason jar. Just keep your jars, right? You in Atlanta? Oh, it came close? Ooh. Hola, Bettina from Brooklyn. New sub. Oh, thank you so much. Did you guys see we hit 5K? I did. I thought we would hit it by the end of October. And then we hit it on Thursday. I'm so humble. I'm just shocked. So that's why when I do the lives on Wednesday about teaching people how to start a YouTube channel and how to grow it, I know what I'm talking about. Thank you so much. So if there are anybody, if there is anybody in the chat considering starting a YouTube channel, I have a playlist on the YouTube page. It's called For Creators, season creators only. You can go in there, watch the replay. This coming Wednesday, I'm going to have the last episode. And we talk about setting it up and all the stuff, all the good habits you need to develop. And then this one, hopefully I'm gonna be able to show them on the screen the back office, you could call it. It's called the YouTube Studio, because this is what's going to help you learn how to grow your channel, because YouTube is going to be talking to you. And since you're becoming a student of the system, that's how you kind of change, and you keep your ear to the ground. You're just listening for your community, and you're trying to give them what they want. Okay. And that's why I did the 5 lives. It's going to be 5 on Wednesday. So if you have an interest, you don't have to. But this is something that, so olive oil, extra virgin. I want to say it's in vogue right now, that a lot of people are considering starting a YouTube channel in their old age. Not that you're old, I am. But it's because we have so much to say, so much to share with the world. Red wine vinegar, and then again, don't ask me how much, a little bit. So that looks like maybe 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the red wine vinegar. I'm not doing a lot, but if you want to do a larger batch, you can. And I have a little bit of white vinegar. Same thing, salt and pepper. And then I'm using dry herbs for my vinaigrette. I love fresh ground pepper, don't you? Don't tell me you go in the store and buy these little things that have been on the shelves for like 2 years. Don't do that. I'm going to be upset. Just buy the one with the grinder on top. It's so much easier. I used to have one that had to pour the peppercorns in there and do this. That's too old. Now you could just do this. And you can buy a smaller size. You don't have to have a big one. All right, so some salt. And, okay, my herbs. Finas herbias, fine herbs. That means it's a mixture. Oh, I can't read that. That's too small. Okay. Then you always want cilantro or culantro, same thing. But over here, we use a lot of culantro in Panama. But I was watching a cooking show and they call it cilantro. So they're better. Fine herbs. Oregano. Oregano is very important. I love oregano. All right. Let's see. I don't think I want to put garlic in this one because I'm going to toss the veggies in that towards the end. Okay. All right. Okay. So, how are you guys doing? Happy Sunday, Strong Heart, Jane, Niaga. What am I cooking today? Today we're cooking root vegetables. It's fall, so I call it the fall vegetable salad. You can call it whatever you want. So we're gonna have calabaza squash, some small potatoes. I was looking for red potatoes, but they had a whole bag, and I don't want to buy a whole bag because that is called small potatoes, sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes in Panama I don't really like, but I don't have a choice. They're not very sweet. You know how our potatoes are sweet, theirs are not. And they don't have the boniato. The boniato is the Caribbean type sweet potatoes. So if you ever go into a Caribbean store, you're going to see sweet potatoes, like it's camatos, I think they call it. And then there is boniato. I love boniato. Boniato I can pop them in the microwave and then put a little butter on top. So good. But that's still carb. And I have hola outer, and because I'm sensitive to carb. Like yesterday I had some white bread and I can see it in my face. It makes me swell up. Sea salt is better. Sure. Yes. I have some Himalayan salt. You're right. Happy Sunday. What are you cooking? Yeah. So we're going to have that. I'm going to throw in there some yuca because I'm in Panama and yuca is so abundant. And I couldn't find Brussels sprouts, but I found some cauliflower. I found some, I'm going to have like a little head of broccoli. And I'm going to blanch those and then just put them in the oven just for a little bit because I don't want them to burn. Broccoli is famous for burning really, really fast. And I have some beets. Now I'm boiling the beets a little bit because they take a long time to cook in the oven. So I'm going to boil them first. I'm cheating. And then I'm going to roast them separately. I don't like to roast them with the rest of the veggies so that the color doesn't kind of bleed out in the rest of it. Am I religious? No, I'm not. So, I mean, I'm a believer and I grew up in the church for the longest time. But in 2016, I stopped going to church. It was too crazy for me. So we're going to have red onions. And then in terms of some veggies also, I'm going to have some peppers. And I have a couple of jalapenos left. We're going to put that in there. I have some carrots. So we're going to peel those, cut them up, toss them together, put them in the oven, and they don't take a long time. They're going to take about 15 minutes. So I better get going while we're talking. So that could be a nice side dish if you like meat, but since I'm not having any meat, I thought of adding some chickpeas to mine, but I forgot to soak my chickpeas. So I have them on the stove, but I don't think they're going to be done in time for me to show you. But I will, when I finish my chickpeas, you know, I'm cooking them with some bay leaves and some garlic. If I had some celery, I would throw in there just for flavor, but I don't, which is fine. So any kind of veggies you have that's not going bad, you can throw them in there. And then what I do with the chickpeas, I'll toss them in a little bit of that herb oil, and then I dust them with some curry powder. And then I put them in the oven, and they don't take a long time because they're already cooked. You just want them to crisp up a little bit, and then you put them on top of any salad. Okay? Curry chickpeas. Give it a try. The Netherlands. Oh my gosh. You're from a long way. Welcome. Bienvenido. All right, guys. Let's get going. All right, so we're going to be, okay, my vegetables, not the vegetables, but the potatoes and the yuca, I'm going to soak them in a little bit of water with a little bit of vinegar, because if I'm not going to use the potato right away, it's going to brown with oxidation. So you always want to put your potatoes in a little bit of, or if you have lemon juice, just squeeze a little bit in the water and put them in there so they don't brown on you, right? And if you recall, I'm buying yuca that is sold in a seal pressed bag, because I find that they're a lot better than the ones when I buy them fresh. You know, that I have to peel. These are still fresh. Okay? So we're going to shoot for this size for our vegetables. And when you're cooking, you want everything to be, you know, on scale. You don't want like big chunks and little chunks. Don't do that. Oh, right in here. And then what do you cook with? What do you eat with the side of vegetables? Like for me, I'm going to throw the chickpeas in there for protein. But if you want chicken, fish, you could do that. But today I'm going to brush a couple of slices of bread with the herb oil. and put them in the oven and just kind of like some kind of a toast for side and for presentation too. So what else? I thought also we could do maybe next week do French onion soup, right? Now you have to put some cheese on top, so I'm gonna have to scrape the cheese off, but I will have the cheese to show you. We used to cook that a lot in my restaurant, and it was a popular dish. Anything French is like attractive to people. So today I thought we would talk about forgiveness. Last week we talked about acceptance, right? So if I have everything this size, it's gonna cook fast. I remember growing up being someone who would hold on to grudges. Yeah. You know how, like I talked about the acceptance, if something happens to you in your childhood, at work, and you're just hanging on to it, and you're like, I was wrong. And you're justified, don't get me wrong. You're justified in being upset. All right. The squash is always a challenge. I remember when I did the videos about cooking, I showed people how to, and I have a knife that is not strong like my chef's knife, so I have to be careful when you're cutting that skin that is so hard. You have to be careful, okay? Don't cut yourself. I see people scrape the inside first. You can do that too. But I like to put it in smaller pieces that I can manage, okay? Okay, so you cut them in small pieces, and then I get rid of the seeds. Now, this is one thing that is abundant here in Panama. There is a place called Merca, Panama. So those of you who are here, you're familiar with Merca. Hello from Quebec. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Can you slaughter chicken? No. I have never slaughtered the chicken. And now that I don't eat it, that will never happen. I can't. When I was growing up, I see people chase the chicken in the yard, grab it by the neck, wring it. Or they would pluck the little thing from their neck and then slice. I'm a nurse, okay? They slice the carotid arteries and let them bleed out, and then they were jumping until they died. No, ma'am. I cannot do that. And I don't think I ever will. When I was growing up too, I remember my mom had a baby, and some people came to the house. I think it was kind of a ritual to celebrate. They would slaughter a goat and then blow air underneath the skin, puff it up so they can cut the skin off. I cannot do it. I've never done it. And now it's too late for me. I'm too old. I'm chicken. I can't hurt animals. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not a vegan now. Don't come at me because people are being rude to the little animals. I'm not a vegan. If somebody cooked the chicken when I was eating chicken, I would eat it. Let me tell you something. Once you stop eating meat, and sometimes you have a craving in the beginning or anytime, and you say, okay, let me try it, you pay for it because your tummy says, I am out of this. Why are you bringing this, to me? And then your tummy will tell you. Last week, I think we made sancocho, right? And I told you that I roasted a chicken. So after we put what we were using, the breasts and the legs, I had the rest of the chicken. So I put it back in the oven, cook it really good. And then I feasted on it and ate some of that. My tummy was bad for like 3 days. It's not worth it, even if I wanted to. Some of the discomfort is not worth it. And I belong to a group of whole food plant-based, and then people tell you the same thing. They said, I tried, I cheated, and I paid for it. So it doesn't pay to cheat. Just give your body what you know is good for it. But you know, at the same time, in the old days, my next video is going to be about the Panamanian cuisine, Panamanian food. And you know, and you're doing research. In the old days, that's how people survive, right? They survive by eating, killing animals. Any laws against putting your I don't know what you're talking about. Why do you get trolls in your lives? YouTube really need to do something about that. But anyway, I am whole food plant-based for health reason, because the meat that we're eating is not the way God intended, right? Because you know what they do to those animals. They inject them with all kinds of things. And sometimes even on online, you would see some places in Asia or whatever, they're putting, I mean, they vaccinate the animals here so they don't all get sick. But when you have a country that allows people to put harmful, you know, ingredient in your food supply, I find that very sad, right? And that's why we get sick from the food. It's not that the animal itself, if it's running free, is bad for you. It's all the junk they put in it that's killing us. I need a moderator. Somebody said that before. Was that you? I don't even know what a moderator does, but I need to consider that. Thank you. But you know, I just hit 5K. I don't know. I don't want to become all fancy, but I like to talk to my viewers because that's what they come here for. So, talking about the food, we talked about that. But anyway, I did get sick for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days from eating the rest of that chicken. So it's like, I can't do sancocho anymore. So we're going to be doing a lot of veggies. I'm not going to be able to cook any chicken recipes for you guys. I'm sorry. But I don't know, maybe not. I have been craving the turkey leg for months now. And you can't find turkey legs here in Panama. They have frozen turkeys. That's it. But they don't cut it up, you know, like wings and stuff. And you're not gonna find smoked. I don't think I've seen, because I'm not looking for it. You know, people were asking me if they have collard greens. I have not seen collards, but I've seen what is it again? Oh, what is it? I can't even think of it. Kale. I finally found kale, but I don't think I've seen. I haven't seen collard greens. So I haven't been looking for smoked turkey bones. I have not been looking for it. Maybe they have it at Reba Smith. I'm still looking for grits, even though I don't eat grits. But I want to do one Sunday, I want to do like a version of shrimp and grits. But I think I'm going to be using polenta. They have polenta here. And then we can do shrimp and grits. Because again, grits is a white carb, which is a simple carb. And if you have enough of it, it's going to turn to sugar in your system. So if you're watching what you eat and you're trying to watch carbs, but again, everything in moderation. If you do shrimp and grits once. I don't even know when the last time I used shrimp and grits. Usually don't go to a restaurant and buy it, but I used to cook it in my restaurant. But that's not something I'm craving. But I asked a friend who is stateside. I said, bring some grits. At least I can cook it for you guys. But it's gonna be a modified version because we're not gonna do heavy cream and cheese. I still have some cheese left in my fridge from when I did the cornbread. And I think one day I'm gonna make a frittata for you guys. So you can see a frittata that is a nice breakfast dish that you can have, which we used to do on Easter Sunday in my house. And you can cook that for breakfast. It's a nice dish. It's very pretty. All right. So we got our squash done. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like maybe the chickpeas are done. Oh, not quite. But it's puffed up. Nice flavor. Bonito. Yeah. So guys, I don't know. Usually when I'm thinking about what to talk about, and it's like the spirit will come to me and say, talk about this. So I thought maybe we talk about, I have 3 little potatoes here. I'm cutting them up and putting them in that vinegar water so they don't oxidize on me. Very easy to peel. But you know, there have been some good things said about potatoes, but to me, it's still a carb. So I don't eat a lot of it. I would eat a sweet potato before I eat a regular potato. But my God, at the restaurant, we used to make home fries and what they used to call the shredded potatoes, hash browns. Ooh, those were good. Those were good. We cooked them on the grill and then we seasoned them. So it was good. You know, I'd like to open my little restaurant back here in Panama and just do breakfast and lunch and sandwiches and wraps and smoothies, which is what I did in my restaurant in Florida. So talking about forgiveness, I was saying that I used to be someone that would hold on to, I call it a grudge, but it was just a sense of I was, I've been done wrong. Somebody really did me wrong. And I got all tied up in my sense of righteousness, maybe, to say that this person, this, and that. But I think I was in my teen years, and I can't remember if something specific happened, right? So I'm cutting these in 4s. So again, we're keeping the scale about this size. I don't remember if something happened to me because my mom used to be working a lot. She was a single mom. But my neighbor, who was a widow, stood in the gap. And she kind of took me under her wing. So she would take me to church with her. She was a Seventh-day Adventist. And I would sleep at her house. Oh, I had four little potatoes. And she would teach me everything about being a lady. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to keep house. And that's why I say, when they say it takes a village, to me, that's what it means. Did you get your vote by mail? I'll tell you what. Okay, don't let me forget what I'm talking about. I went to the embassy here, had a program where they were telling us how to vote. And you were supposed to go to your supervisor of election in the state where you reside, because in Panama, even though you live here, you still need to maintain an address in the US, especially if you're getting Social Security, okay? So whether you're gonna move your address to your daughter's address or no PO boxes, has to be a regular address. And so they said you need to do that, which I did. Now, I live in Florida, you all. I don't know what that means, right? So it's like I registered, I said I wanted a ballot by mail to be sent to my address where my mail goes. And then they always say you need to, don't just trust that you registered and asked to have an absentee ballot, that you needed to keep checking to make sure they had received it. And I did. And they finally, I was getting a little antsy because the embassy here was saying you needed to get your ballots. What I was going to do is get it to my address in Florida, forward it to an address here. We don't get mail here, but we have third-party companies that will take the mail that you send to Miami, and then they bring it to you here. So I kept checking to see when it was going to be mailed out because they kind of give you like a meter. And then I see that finally, like 2 or 3 days before I was supposed to return it to the embassy, because the embassy, you are going to fill it out because you have to sign it, and then you take it to the embassy, and they had a big box where everybody went and dropped their ballot in. But the other option also was if it was getting late, because there's a deadline, you have to look at the dates at your supervisor of elections website. And the deadline was approaching, but another option was there's a website, WWWF. Okay, if I don't remember, but I'll put it in, probably too late for you guys now here. I'll put it in the description. It's FAVC or something like that, federal something voting. They have a generic ballot that you can complete, and then you print it, you sign it, and then you take it to the embassy, you drop it in the box. And that's what I did, because, and to this date, the person who was supposed to let me know when the ballot got there never did. So that's a good thing I didn't. So at this point, we took the ballot to the embassy and just pray that it's gonna get where it's supposed to go. Because you never know, with all the shenanigans going on. Whew, that sweet potato was hard. With all the shenanigans going on about voting, so I don't know. A lot of people decided to go home and vote to be sure that their ballot got to where it's supposed to go. All right, going back to forgiveness. So my mom, she was a single mom, and she worked overnight a lot, and she was gone a lot. So my neighbor was standing in the gap for her. So when it says it takes a village, it really does, right? And those of you who are my age, remember how it used to be that your auntie, your neighbor was like your mom, and they kept an eye on your kids. You didn't have to worry about predators. Those days are gone, right? Well, they better be serious. Our lives and our kids' lives depend on, I'll tell you. I'll try not to worry too much about the election. And I don't want to get into a political debate here, okay? So, but anyway, I believe voting is a privilege. And that's why when somebody tells me I've never voted, I just kind of look, I don't understand that, right? Because to me, if I don't vote, I am just, it's a direction of duty, because too much has been done to allow us the privilege of voting. But anyway, so my my neighbor really became my second mom. And she taught me everything I know about being a girl, being a lady, and I am forever indebted to her. So, but unforgiveness and bitterness and it breeds other things when you become an unforgiving person. It breeds you kind of become condescending, you become self-absorbed, and it's almost like the world revolves around you. And that's why a lot of time I tell people, yes, you've had things happen in your life, but who hasn't? We've all been through stuff, right? So, like Chuck Swindoll says, he's a preacher, and he says, life is 20% what happens to you and 80% how you react to it, right? If I'm going to take on every hardship, every lie that's been said about me, every unkind word that's been said to me or about me, I'm going to be a miserable person. And to me, I have a picture in my mind that it's like you're carrying this weight that you can't ever put down, yet you have the power to put it down, right? And I don't remember anyone talking to me about that. When I was growing up, it was another thing. I don't think parents take enough time to really get deep with their kids. I don't know about you. I don't remember getting that kind of relationship, conversation like I know I've had with my kids. When I was growing up, kids were seen and not heard. Can any of you relate? When somebody came to visit in our home, good manners said you came and you greeted the person. Hello, auntie, kiss, and then you disappeared. Kids did not sit in the living room when the grown-ups were talking. That's why sometimes when I see some kids and stuff happening in online or whatever, I'm like, whoo, my head kind of, the smoke starts coming out of my ear. And I'm like, let me have these children for a day, please. But one of the things that is hard in our society is that we have people having babies who should not have babies because they were not prepared to be parents. And yes, a lot of us, we just became parents and no one prepared us. I remember when I was getting married, going to talk to the pastor, you know how they say prenuptial, whatever, counseling. But I don't know what he was talking about. He did not go deep into anything, the things that I should have been prepared for. He was like, oh, you want to get married? Oh, that's good. Make sure you come to church every Sunday. You have a job. You share in the expenses, blah, blah, blah. All right, guys. So here we have I put some carrots in there and some my squash. So now I'm going to put the potatoes in here. I'm going to turn the oven on. That's going to cook in about 15 minutes. Yeah, so when I was growing up, even my lady who became my second mom, it was by doing. Maggie, you do this, Maggie, you do that. But it was never, let's talk about how you keep your body safe. There was no conversation that I recall about your body is your own, nobody should touch you, you know? It was very generic. So I'm putting some of the oil in here. I'm leaving a little bit for my bread. All right. All right. So let's toss this baby. Ooh, some of these. Whoa. I'm gonna cut the squash a little bit. So yeah, there was no deep conversation. And I think as parents, especially these days, oh my God. The other day I was watching, it was in Colombia, this guy, you know, pursued this little girl, and then they found her remains. We still have those evil people out there preying on our kids. So the days where I could go out and play from sunrise to sundown, those days are gone. All right. Woo. So good. All right. So I remember, okay, I'm going to put them in here. Wow, that's a lot. Maybe I should have kept some of that squash. All right. So that's going in the oven. All right, you guys. So when you're growing up and things have been done to you, or your family situation was such that, and you know, oh, I forgot the beets. We got to get the beets. All right, let's get the beets off. And I'm going to toast them. I'm going to roast them separately, right? Because I don't want them to mix with my veggies and bleed in them. So that's been cooking. The beets been boiling for about 45 minutes. All right, so we're gonna peel the beets, and I'm gonna again put them in kind of cubes. We call them dice. Oh, it feels good. It feels like it's cooked a little bit. So it's not gonna be hard. Perfect. Yeah, I didn't want to just roast them. To me, that would take too long. I've roasted the beets before, but maybe if I had cut them in small pieces, they wouldn't take so long. But anyway, you can roast them right away if you want. But I only have 15-20 minutes to roast these vegetables because I don't want to keep you guys too long. But yeah, so I grew up in a single parent home, like a lot of you. My parents divorced when I was 4, and there's always been this sense of, you know, betrayal, abandonment, because my parents were not on good terms. And it wasn't like in the States where you have like custody agreement. We didn't have that kind of stuff where I grew up. The man definitely automatically assumed the child's gonna stay with the mom, because you know they're guys and they don't have any responsibilities. And my mom, I think I told you guys a little bit about her growing up and how she was motivated to succeed. And her motivation was because she was denied some stuff when she was growing up by her dad. Yes. So my mom was motivated to succeed financially, and she went all out to prove herself. And that's another thing. We try to overcompensate for things that we missed out. And that's what I see happening with a lot of our immigrant families. And our family was one where we feel that we want to give our kids everything that we did not have. And that is not always a good thing. Because then we're creating a bunch of entitled kids who are lazy, unfocused, expecting everything to be handed to them because you make them feel like they deserve everything. Nobody deserves anything. We all have to work for what we got. So you feel abandoned as a child of divorce. And I don't understand exactly. I can't really tell you the sociologically why divorce is so kind of damaging to kids. Kids do not want their parents to divorce. Okay? And whenever it happens, there's a breakdown. Ouch. Ooh, that was hot. There's a breakdown. And so I became, and I'm a firstborn. I talked about the birth order last week, that firstborns girls tend to be very responsible, not 100% of the time, but most of the time, right? And I kind of took over when my mom wasn't there. I was the one to maintain the home and to do all the stuff. So I was kind of a mature kind of girl because of my family circumstances. And of course, you're still dealing with how you were feeling. Nobody's asking you how you're feeling about things. Children are not supposed to have feelings. Now we know that's wrong. And I think that's why it's so important to spend time with kids, because you don't have to take him into your room and say, okay, let's go and have a talk. But you take him shopping, you go in, you're doing something fun. That's the best time to interact with the child if you're trying to, talk to them. And those are the moments the kids are going to remember. It's the time that you spent with them, right? So let's see. Okay. This is my chickpeas. So you know what? I think we're going to season my chickpeas, and I'm going to put them in the oven also, so I can roast them. I'm going to put them in this dish here. So I was still, thinking about the things that I didn't have in my life. But I had a good school that became like a second family to me. And that kind of helped. Okay, let's see how we're going to season these peas. Remember, we're going to, okay, let's do pepper. I don't need to put any salt in the chickpeas. I don't put salt in my chickpeas. I'm going to put some adobo. Oh, that's a little bit of salt. Cayenne now. Slap your mama. And paprika. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of olive oil because I'm leaving the oil that I have for the bread. Maybe half a teaspoon, not a lot. I think I'm going to put a little bit of oregano Not a lot. Remember, I love oregano. And culantro, no. Fine herbs. There is another herb combination that you can buy in the States. I don't see it here. Herb de Provence. I don't know if you ever see it. It's like a combination of a lot of herbs with a French name. If you ever see it, buy it. Game changer. All right, so now I'm going to add the curry powder. Now, I was able to find curry powder here, and I was shocked. So you know I got a big one. But also, when you are raising kids, you know what they say. Kids learn a lot of things from their parents or the environment that they grow in. Their sense of how you forgive, how do you solve problems, how do you handle disappointment, how do you handle loss, how do you handle friendships, right? Because you can talk to a kid all you want, but they're really watching you, right? Don't tell me, show me, right? That's what the kid, ooh, smells so good. Look at that. All right. So, very good. Do a little bit more. Just because I want the color to pop. All right. Oops. All right, let's put that in there. All right, the next thing we're gonna do are the green veggies that we also are going to roast for a little bit. So we're gonna put them in here. And then I'm gonna transfer them to this to put them in the oven. Yeah. So when I was growing up, like I said, I didn't have those kind of relationships. My mom was gone all the time. I didn't have someone to sit there and talk to me. And even though my neighbor was my second mom, but the way they raised kids in those days is not what we think of today. You know, it was like you got food on your table, you got clothes on your back. You've heard that before. What do you have to complain about? There was not, there was not this emotional connection with kids. Unfortunately, that's the way it was when I was growing up. And I don't think I was unique, right? So you grow up keeping your opinions to yourself. You in school, so you kind of learning by yourself how do you handle friendships, you know? When people have kids and they sit at the dinner table and you ask the kids, how was your day, right? That's an opening for connection. How was your day? And that's why, you know, bullying happens a lot. But if there is no connection and the kid doesn't feel like they can come to you and open up, so they keep all this in, next thing you know, they're hanging themselves. And that's just a travesty, right? But in those days, parents didn't understand the power of connection. So you flailing, you out there by yourself. And here you are, all of a sudden, like myself, you're thrown into a different environment. My mom put me on an airplane and said, go be successful, go to college. No connections. There was no pep talk about how you're going to handle things when you get over there. It was like, you're going to do right. And I did. And I don't know if I share my story with you about, you know, how I came with this family and we parted ways. I was in New York, my first winter. I was freezing. I was alone. It was a rough time. But again, because you are raised to kind of hold everything in, you're just not opening to other people. And the other person who's around you may not be equipped to even listen and understand what you're going through. So the sense of unforgiveness, it's like all these things happen to me, and I'm trying to find my way and fight and become successful. Therefore, you have no right to do this to me, and I'm going to hang it up here because this is for me to hold on to. I was wronged. So, unforgiveness, if it's not handled. Now, what I always say to people is that, yes, you've had a rough life. But I came to the US when I was 18, going on 19. But by the time I'm in my mid-20s, you've learned a few things. And if you're on a road to self-improvement, you're reading books, you are talking to people, you're watching certain things, you kind of come into yourself to say, well, you know what? Maybe all these things that I'm hanging on to, I need to kind of sift through them and see how it is affecting me as an adult. Because one thing I say to the kids is that your 20s and your late teens are the most important times of your life, because that's when you're going to make the biggest decisions of your life, right? Career, where you're going to live, who you're going to marry if you decide to do that. But if you're an immigrant kid, you don't think of marriage the same way, right? It's not love and all this good. It's survival. So you are on your own. And then you get caught up in that web of, I need to be successful. And what does that look like? The house, the car, the career, the degrees. You get on that Ferris wheel and you start spinning. You never have time to sit and get into your emotions. I don't know about you. I never did. Married, children, school, career. I'm on a path. I'm going and I'm listening to all these stories saying, oh yeah, you need to move in that neighborhood so your friends can see how successful you are. Oh, you driving a Toyota. No. You need to move to the Volvo and to the BMW and the Mercedes because that is what your friends are driving. Pressure, pressure, pressure. No time to self-evaluate. No time to get with your feelings, right? And then sometimes you crash and burn and you wonder why. Depression, anxiety, you're exhausted, disease, things start happening to you. And I think that is what's happening to a lot of us. By the time we realize what's been done to us, it's usually too late. The damage has been done. So again, a sense of self-absorbment, a sense that things have been done to me. And how dare you add to my stress, right? And even in your relationship, you can become unforgiving. I remember when I was growing up and I had the kids, when something happened in the home, and for me, that's how I used to handle situation. If you did something to me, I just didn't talk. I just didn't talk. What's wrong? Nothing. Are you like that? That's the way I used to be. If someone did something to me, whether it was in my home or in relationship, I retreated inside myself. And when you do that, you hanging on to these emotions, you hanging on to the anger, the sense of indignation, the sense of you've done me wrong. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Oh my God. You think that's healthy? I have a surprise for you. It's not healthy. We hang on to stuff that is going to damage us. Now, like I said, I remember, and I used to be like that. And I used to hang on to it like a badge of honor. Like I said, I'm entitled to being indignant. And she did this, he did that. And I was justified. But at the end of the day, what does that do to you? You're miserable. Nobody wants to hang around you. You're a complainer. Nothing is ever good in your life. You focus more on the negative or the things you don't have or the things that have been done to you instead of all the beautiful things that are happening in your life. My stove is so good. It's so hot. So I remember I was in my mid-20s. I was going through some things, when you talk about on a scale of, they say if you want to measure stress, they have like an indicator that says, things that happen in your life, and then they measure. And I think the number one thing that happened was that could stress you out would be a divorce. The second one was moving and other things. I moved a couple of times in my, marriage could be too. But I remember in my mid-20s, I was going through some things. I was in school full time. I was working full time. I had kids. I'm telling you, busy, busy, busy. And I think I had an epiphany one time, and I said, you know what? I need to change this. When somebody does something to me, I'm just gonna let it go. I may not talk to you again, but I'm just not gonna hang on to this. And I don't remember if something happened. I don't remember having a conversation with someone, but I just remember that it was something that came to change my perspective. And then I found myself when somebody did something to me, and I look back 2, 3 months down the line, and I'm like, how come I'm not upset anymore with this person? No, I did not go to therapy for that, but you might have to. But I remember it was a conscious come to Jesus moment that said, oh, I'm not hanging on to this sense of anger and entitlement. And wow, I felt lighter. I felt happier with myself. And, it's been something in my life for the last few decades that if you do something to me, my first reaction is, well, maybe something is going on. I try to find a reason to justify your behavior, not because I'm denying what you did to me, but because it's a self-preservation tactic, and it has served me well. So when somebody does something to you, if you say, well, you know what, she's having issues with her kids. Well, she didn't get that promotion. Well, she just moved, she's stressed. I'm talking to myself, trying to find excuses for your behavior. Not that it's even close. It may not even be the reason, but that's my personal therapy. And I'm able to release it. I'm able to say, well, that's what's happening with her, therefore. And when I do that, I release me. And that's why now, for the last few years, I've been reading things about when you forgive someone, you're releasing them, and then you're releasing you. Because think about it, there are some egregious things that people have done to other people. Especially the things that happen to children. I'm telling you, I just don't get it, how people can hurt children. But if that child is going to therapy, or the adult who does not have the ability to forgive all the wrong that was done to them, think about it, sis or gentleman. If someone does something to you, can you go back and undo it? No. But when you hang on to the hurt and to what they did, you just keep hurting yourself. When you release it, and it takes a lot of guts, sometimes a lot of years, sometimes a lot of tears. But when you're able to go deep and release that, you're freeing yourself from the whatever it is they had that grabbed you, and you take your power back. I like that word. You taking your power back when you forgive. Because sometimes somebody does something to you with the intent to hurt you. They want to stick it to you. People are so mean-spirited. It blows my mind. And sometimes, most of the time, you don't deserve it. You didn't do anything to this person. They just mean. But I was like, do you, sis? Got nothing to do with me. Your meanness is yours alone. I don't know how to be mean to people. And that is why nowadays my thing is, if I do something to hurt you and you don't come to me and tell me, but your attitude towards me changes, you don't hang out anymore, and I'm like, what is wrong? Something happened. Or you are where I used to be. If I say, are you okay? Is anything wrong? You're like, no, everything's good. Because you haven't gotten to the point where I've gotten to say, let's deal with it. Let's forgive. But if you're still hanging on to it, you know what? I'm out there living my best life. And you're miserable. You can't sleep. You harboring all this thing that's destroying you. It's on you. I've released you. I'm clueless. Right? So I tell people, even now, I say, you know what? If I do something to hurt you, just come to me and tell me. And let me tell you, before you say 10 words, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to say, oh my God. Maybe not for what I did because it wasn't intentional, but for your perception of what I did. If you think I did this to hurt you and I'm clueless that my action had hurt you, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to say, oh my God, I am so sorry for what I made you feel. There's a difference, right? Because if I was telling you the truth, but it hurt your feeling, I'm apologizing for what it did to you, not necessarily what I did or what I said. And then I release it. For me, I leave it there. The pressure is on you now to accept my apology. Some people cannot accept an apology. You can say, I'm sorry till you blue in the face. And they're like, you exactly where I used to be. I'm hanging on to it. My sense of entitlement, my sense of I've been wrong. I was hurt. That is not healthy, you guys. So I'm telling you right now, if I do something to you, you tell me. And if I get an opportunity, I'm going to say, okay, let's hash it out. What is it? Let's air it out because I don't function like that. Tell me what I did. And if I need to apologize, and don't think that when I apologize, I don't mean it. I mean it. I'm sorry. I didn't know that what I did or what I said was hurtful to you. And if it is, I'm sorry. But then now it's up to you to accept it. So sis, if someone comes to you and they say, you hurt me, but you like, oh, well, you're so sensitive. Have you ever heard people tell you that? Oh, you're too sensitive, right? I didn't mean that. But when you say that to me, you're not really apologizing because you're still blaming me for your behavior. Oh, you're too sensitive. I didn't mean anything by that. That is not a true apology. The apology says you're acknowledging the effect of the act on the other person. If my attitude, my words made you feel some kind of way and hurt you, I'm apologizing for that. And are we good? And that's what I expect when I say that. I have had my apologies thrown back in my face. I have had the conversation and nothing changes. You know what? I'm good. I released it. The ball's in your court now. If you're not able to accept my apology, I can't help you. I can't help you. So that's what I do with my life now. When somebody say, "Oh, you look happy," yes, I'm free. And if there is anything that I've done to someone, I will go and address it. Or if somebody did something to me, like the other day, I had a conversation with a couple of ladies, and they were shocked. They didn't know that thing, you know, um, affected me. And when you are talking to someone about apologizing to you, make it personal. It's like when you asking for help. I remember when I was, learning how to manage, they tell you when you're asking somebody to do something for you, just say, "I need a personal favor." It's personal. "I need a favor," it's like, if you want to. But if somebody loves you, if you say, "I need a personal favor," they're like, "Oh, she needs my help." Right? So if I am asking for your help, or I'm calling to you and I say, I'm coming to you and I say, "This thing hurt me." And I said that to the ladies. I said, if I'm addressing it, it's because I want to preserve the relationship. Because otherwise, we're going to keep going the way we're going and nothing is going to get resolved, right? If I keep doing what, still harboring, saying, "Oh, I've been waiting for her to apologize and she's not," it's like, can we have lunch? The other day you said something that really made me feel bad. Personalizing it, right? And then sometimes they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And that's true. People are usually oblivious. But when you tell me, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that," girl, you are way too sensitive. That is not the right response. You have to acknowledge what it does to that person without putting a label on their feelings. If I say it hurt me, it hurt me. Just like when I'm practicing as a medical person, they say pain is subjective. When somebody say I'm in pain, who am I to say, "Oh my goodness, you're just looking for pain medication. You're not in pain"? How do you know that? Right? So if somebody says whatever your behavior was, it was hurtful, that's all you need to know. Practice apologizing. Some people feel too proud to apologize. Well, that's a problem. Right? You can't be too proud. If somebody says your behavior hurt me, that's all you need to know. Don't try to minimize it. Don't try to justify it. I mean, there may be circumstances that kind of, might contribute to the behavior. But saying, "I am so sorry. I didn't realize what I said or what I did hurt you. I'm going to make sure I watch, and don't go and then retreat from the relationship." Sometimes that's what people do. They'll say they're sorry, and then all of a sudden they're MIA. Well, you were not truthful, right? That's not what I'm saying. Just acknowledge people for where they're at and apologize if you need to. Don't be too proud to apologize. Apologizing to someone doesn't turn you into a weak individual. On the contrary, au contraire. Oh my God. What's Mama cooking? Nick, we're doing roasted. Ooh, 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 ooh. Wow. All right, so I'm going to take I'm taking the beets out, and I'm going to put my regular veggies in. Okay. So these are going to go in. It's peppers and onions, and I got one jalapeno in here, okay? That's not going to take long. Ooh, the veggies, they're looking good. And then it will be just putting things together, you guys. What did you think about the topic? Roasted potatoes and veggies. I don't know the name of the dish. Well, we just call it roasted vegetable salad. You can call it whatever you want. All right, let me put this back. Oh, I forgot the tomato. I had a straggler of tomatoes here. I'm gonna throw it in there. It's aroma. I cleaned everything before. But you could buy the cherry tomatoes and cut them in half and put them in there if you want. Yes, I love. Now tomatoes are very good, but I read somewhere that if you have trouble with arthritis, there is a ingredient in there that could aggravate it. So just be mindful of that if you have arthritis. Because I know my friend was having some issues and I told her that and she's like, oh my God, it made a big difference. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I don't have arthritis, so I don't know. But that's what I read. All right, so I'm gonna put the tomatoes in there. I think the cherries would look so much better, but we don't have that. So we're just I'm gonna add them to my roasted veggies, keeping an eye on my chickpeas. All right, I think it's gonna be like 10 minutes. So now I'm going to blanch my broccoli and my cauliflower. Oop. Wow, it looks like it's gonna rain again. Yesterday we had some rain here in Panama City. Now, Panama right now is rainy season. And last year when I was here, it did not rain. It rained very little. Everything was dry. The lakes were dry. It was pitiful. And you probably heard that even the canal, they had to reduce the number of ships that could come through because the water level, because the canal, that's what they do. They just raise the water level so the ships can go and lower it to go to the other side. And they were having some issues. And the Panama Canal brings a lot of revenue to the country. I think that's the number one revenue source for Panama. So if anything happens to the canal, we're all worried, right? But this year, yesterday we had a monsoon. I was out and, all right, I'm going to put some water to boil. So we can blanch our veggies. In Panama, broccoli is very expensive. This little crown, and they sell it by the crown. You know how you could go in the States and you get like 2 or 3 in a pack? They put them individually. This is about $2.30. This one crown. So I don't know if they don't grow it here. Cauliflower, that's what they call it. That's cauliflower. Broccoli is broccoli. Broccoli. Cauliflower is cauliflower. All right. But I remember in the States, I used to have broccoli every single day. I don't here. But you still get vegetables cheaper at Merca, Panama. And we're gonna go on Tuesday. I was able to secure a driver who's gonna take a bunch of us. And because the problem I have when I go to Merca is just getting the stuff and then carrying it home. on a bus or you get an Uber. So if we got an SUV, then we can put our stuff in the back. So I'm excited about that. All right, cauliflower. That tends to be a little pricey too. I bought these 3 crowns in a pack for like 3 something. But cauliflower is not cheap in the state either, so I don't know. No sé por qué. But I love cauliflower. And it cooks so fast that I don't want to burn it. So do you guys have any question? Love the topic. Thank you. Yeah, what time is dinner? Would you like me to bring a dessert? Ooh, I'm not a dessert kind of person, and especially because dessert to me equates with sugar. Because, and I remember whatever dessert, whatever cake I made, it's a lot of sugar. And I just can't have that anymore, so I don't do dessert. A nice dessert for me would be some fresh fruit, like berries. Berries are super expensive. So I buy a bag of frozen berries at Price Mart, which is the equivalent of Costco here, and it was like $21. Whereas at Sam's in Florida, a bag of frozen was like $11.99 or something like that. So almost double. Certain things in Panama we pay a premium for. So I just buy the berries to make my smoothies, and I'm like, if I buy I don't know how many pounds for $21 and it lasts me like months, so that's okay. As cheap as I am, it's a good buy. And berries are good for you. It's probably the healthiest type of fruit that you can have. Okay, bananas are good, a lot of potassium, but they're also it's kind of high glycemic. So people say after you exercise or you run, it's a good fruit to eat, but I love bananas. I just can't have it often. So very, very rarely you're gonna see me buy. So in terms of fruit that are low in sugar for me, I buy, I love pineapple, mango when they're in season. They're not in season now. They have a lot of pears in Panama. It's not even something I understand, but that's usually very affordable. So I buy pears, and then they have a lot of apples that are very affordable. So I'll buy apple. And I like apples in my salad now. I don't know why, but I find that I like it better when I mix it in my salad. Let's check my veggies. Ooh, my chickpeas are done. Okay, they're ready to be added to my salad. I'm going to turn my veggies. Oh, yes. So I'm going to be munching on those veggies for a long time. All right, so got my cauliflower and my broccoli. Okay, so now, again, so I'm going to blanch them with the hot water. So when I'm doing green beans, cauliflower, broccoli, I just put them in hot water, and I cover it just to steam it. If you have a steamer, I don't have a steamer, so I have to make my own steamer, okay? And I'm gonna leave it in here for like 5 minutes. So good. Listen, if you've done whole food plant-based, learn to make some roasted chickpeas. And you can even put them like in baggies and use them as snacks or as a salad topper. Whatever salad you have, just sprinkle some of that in there. And you saw how I made it. You cook the chickpeas first. Soak them overnight so they can cook in like 30 minutes. And put some aromatics in there like celery, carrots, and bay leaves and fresh garlic. It already flavors the chickpeas. You don't have to add any salt to it. And then just put a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, anything else you want in there, and some curry powder. If you're into curry powder, you don't have to. To mix our salad. Woo. All right, let me wash my bowl. Okay. All right. Did you guys have any question? I am a total fruit head. I like fruit too, but it's just that because I'm older and I have diabetes that runs in my family, so I have to be more careful about the carbs and the sugar content of whatever I'm eating. My mom didn't have it. 3 of her sisters had it, and 1 of her brother had it. So it runs in my family. And remember, with disease, your family history is a big indicator that your risk for a disease is higher. All right, so I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna take the, my beets. I'm gonna put them in the bowl. And I'm gonna put that, ooh, beautiful. To be in there for a second. Then I'm gonna put them on here really quick to crisp them up, and then we're ready. Okay, one more thing. We're going to brush a couple of slices of the bread. You don't have to have the bread, right? If you're gonna have like fish or meat with your veggies, you don't need to do that. But I'm gonna plate my veggies. I bought this beautiful little plate at Conway. Those of you who watch my videos, you know Conway is my #1 store I go to. So I have some spinach. I'm gonna wash the leaves and I'm gonna make a bed, and then I'm gonna put my salad in the middle. The good thing about cooking is that you can do anything you want. You can be creative. One of the attractions of living in a tropical climate, the fruit, oh my God, I can see gardening unavailable. Fruit and vegetables on balcony or patio, yes. And you know, you're right, because one of the things that is so different when you come to a tropical country, people who live in Ecuador or in Brazil and other places, is the availability of fruits and vegetables. I mean, it's everywhere. You know, around here, you could be walking down the street, somebody's got a truck, and in the back of their truck, they're selling all kinds of things. That's where you get the best pineapple, papayas, bananas, avocado. The Panamanian diet is not big on a lot of veggies, but they have the fruit is very available, and then they use that fruit for fresh smoothies. And if you heard my story, that was the thing that attracted me first. That when they were doing the smoothies, they were cutting the pineapple, putting it in there, cutting the papaya. I'm like, what? It's not coming from a frozen bag. Sign me up. And I was so excited. All right, let's take my greens out. All right. Because you see, I will not eat broccoli that has been brown because it's overcooked. Green beans, major, major pet peeve. Spinach that is overcooked, major pet peeve. Do not buy things from a frozen bag or, Like I said, I'm gonna be upset with you. Don't do that. Okay. Again, you know me, I have to season. I just can't eat bland food. I'm so sorry. So if you ever invite me to your house and you bring me bland food, I may not say anything, but I'm not gonna be happy, okay? Okay. So here's my Himalayan salt, and it's got a little bit of pepper in it, and paprika. Love paprika. I'm out of smoked paprika. I need to get some. Okay, and okay, 5 minutes just to crisp up. In the oven it goes. Woo. I'm getting a facial. All that steam. Whew. Okay. So we got our beets in here. I just want to put the 2 slices of toast in. I bought these 2 little things from, they were on sale for like $2 at Conway. One day I had a party here and I made a scallop potato, layered in here. Oh, so good. So good. Okay. So I don't usually buy bread just because, white bread is not something that I buy. And again, that's another simple carb that raises your blood sugar. So you got to be careful with it. And I'm going to brush a little bit of that herb oil. And I'm going to put them in here, put them in the oven for a little bit. Usually I buy the whole wheat pita and then I cut them and I toss them in this. You could do the same thing. I just thought that I wanted to have like a garlic bread type of feel for your benefit because, you guys, I don't buy this stuff usually. But I'm excited to make the polenta with, and I thought maybe not salmon, but codfish. They have good tuna here. Tuna and mahi-mahi. Maybe we'll do a mahi. And I saw a recipe where you could use some shrimp too. But it looked like a shrimp Creole kind of recipe where you put in cream and stuff, and we can't do that, as you guys know. Let's see. I think my veggies are ready. Yep, my veggies are good. I'm gonna take them out, put the bread in. So I think we are ready to put our salad together. But before we do that, let's get our bed. Spinach comes like this here. And they don't come in like the bag that we have in the States with just the leaves. They come with the stems. Very different. All right, so I'm just gonna put, and they are hearty here. They're not soft. And somebody mentioned about the fruits and vegetables. I think you can grow stuff on your patio here, but I haven't ventured in that because I'm not a gardener. I don't have a green thumb for anything. I just buy green things. I can't grow them. I can't grow anything. If I have a plant that requires more than just water, I kill it. There's this woman called Nina Brown. I think she's in Atlanta, and she has a garden, and she brings people in on the weekend and teaches them how to do it. I'm like, wow. She was digging out sweet potatoes and okra. Ooh, I was salivating. I probably could learn if somebody was willing to teach me. It's just not something that I have an innate ability for. I have other skills. That's not one of them. So, all right. I think I'm going to use some with stems just to do like and for the edge. Oh, that's going to be good. You see, when you are cooking, your creative juices should start flowing, okay? So don't be shy. Like with the holidays coming, yeah, I was saying that I was craving. I'm probably gonna cook a turkey for the holidays and maybe cut it up and give it to some of the ladies, and we'll see. Alrighty, we are ready. Get me a clean towel. Just getting the water off of my spinach. All right. I'm making garlic bread. I can just smell it in there. That's another thing. If you're making pasta, you know, we made marinara. Just make it, buy your own bread and do the garlic oil and brush them. Learn to make your own stuff. Learn to try to get away from pre-packaged food. Pre-packaged food is unhealthy because of all the stuff they had to put in it to preserve it. Read the labels. Half the things you can't pronounce. We don't need all that junk in our food. That's why we have so much cancer and lymphomas and things happening to us, because we are ingesting all the pesticide and the additives. So there is an ad on TikTok or IG. It says, if nature didn't make it, you don't need it. I know we can't 100% get away from it, but there's a lot you can do to reduce your intake of harmful chemicals, all the food coloring and gum this, and I can't even pronounce half the stuff. So when you look at a food, will you buy your fruits and vegetables, first of all, rinse them really good. You can have like a brush in your kitchen, in your sink, because you can soak a vegetable like a pepper or something, you may not be able to get all the stuff out. So first of all, put some water in your sink, throw your vegetable in there, put some vinegar and some baking soda, let them sit, rinse them really good, brush if you can, your apples and your fruit, brush them off, because trust me, they've sprayed something on them. Okay, it's up to you. I know, like I said, we can't get away from it 100%, but there's a lot we can do. Don't be in a rush to buy a bag of this, a bag of that, a bottle of... If you can make it, take the time. It's an investment in your health. And if you have young kids, like I said, I'm embarrassed now, some of the stuff I used to feed my kids, but I didn't know. But now I know. So I'm not putting that stuff in my body. Okay. So let's start putting, I know I'm not going to be able to use all the stuff that I cooked because it's a lot. So I'm going to put some of that, the peppers and the onions. I'm going to put a little bit of that. And you're going to do enough to put on, decorate our plate. All right. And the chickpeas we're going to put at the end because it's like the garnish. All right, let's get the rest of the stuff out. Ooh. I tell you, that oven doesn't play. Ooh, why are you sticky? Give me my bread. It gets stuck on there. All right. The bread is already nicely golden. Look at that. Ooh. So I'm gonna turn them and let them cook just for like 2 minutes while I take the veggies, the roots out. Yeah. Ooh. Beautiful. Here we go. Wow, look at that. All right. So ideally, you want to let them cool a little bit, but for the sake of time, oh, the oven says we are done. You know, one thing that is good if you're trying to eat healthy, just get some red potatoes, have that garlic oil and roast them in the oven. And it's so good. Now remember, I have potatoes and I have yuca in here. And the squash cooks so fast, faster than anything else. Okay? So good. The potatoes look so nice. Maybe next time I do it, I'm gonna cook the squash separately, like I did the beets, because the squash it cooks so much faster. Okay, so let's put the rest of it over here. And look at that. Ooh, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna get my plate out here and we're gonna plate this baby. I have a little bit of that's Italian parsley I'm gonna use for decoration. Because remember, you eat with your eyes. If you have company, you wanna dress your plate up. All right, let's do this. Bring the camera closer so you guys can see. Whew. Sorry. Okay. All right. You know, my hands are clean, okay? If that doctor is there to say, did you wash your hands? Yes. There was somebody who said, did you wash your hands? I said, yes, I did, teacher. All right, so I'm going to make a contour with my spinach. Look at that. It's a nice contrast, right, for the bed. You know, spinach is a superfood, so I hope you love spinach. Because you could put spinach in your eggs, you could do spinach salad, you put it in your soups. I add spinach to anything. No one can tell you you can't. Okay? So now I am going to put the veggies on the bed. Oh, it smells so good, you guys. So good. Look at this. Whew. Okay. Now let's sprinkle some of that. You guys see this? Let's sprinkle some of that chickpeas. You're gonna add your protein, right? Woo! I tell you, I surprise myself sometimes. And you know, I didn't think of doing the bed like that. And then it just came to me as I was talking to you. That's the kind of creativity you have when you're cooking. All right? So remember, we have our vinaigrette. So we're going to add a little bit because, again, you're building flavor. You don't want to serve people food that doesn't taste good. Okay? All right. And I am going to chop a little bit of that parsley and just throw it on there. And voila, we are done. Now, wouldn't you want to serve this to your friends? You know, if you're into chicken, some roast chicken, barbecue, and then this is your fall, winter root vegetable salad. I'm excited. It came out so good. All right, guys. Did you like it? I think it looks awesome. I do. Look at that. Our creation. We did this together, you and I. I'm like Martha Stewart. Let me take my picture. Take a pic. Take a pic. I think my plate was a winner. Look at that pretty plate. Oh my God. Oh, all right, you guys. I know. You season everything before you put them in the oven, and then you make that vinaigrette. I still have a little bit left, so if I had like a regular salad, I can, you know, usually I make like a big bottle. And then I just shake and pour it over my salad or any vegetables. Because sometimes I'll just blanch some broccoli and cauliflower and just eat it like that. And then you have that toasted chickpeas. Game changer. It looks really good. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging with me. Like I said, I'm thinking I want to make that grits like polenta with fish. Oh, I was going to tell you. I saw a recipe because I made a shrimp and grits in my cafe when I had the restaurant. But you can use you saute, you cook some fish, and then you put it on a bed of shrimp. Now, last time I did my lab work 2 years ago, my cholesterol was a little bit high, so I've stayed away from shrimp, but the shrimp is so abundant here and cheap. I'm talking $4 a pound for big shrimp like this. I don't like to clean shrimp, getting that vein out. I don't like that, but I'll do it for y'all when I do it. So you do the sauce and you put the shrimp and then you put the fish on top on a bed of polenta. So we'll do that next week. Instead of cream and cheese, we'll use some coconut milk because I can. All right, guys, you have a good day. I'm late to the party. Come on, Michelle. We just finished. But it is so good and easy. You can watch the replay. Look at that. Oh my God. That's beautiful. By Crocky, that's the beauty. Remember that guy who used to fight alligators in Australia and who died, unfortunately. But anyway, what type of grits do you like? I don't like eat grits because, again, it's a white carb, very fine because it brings my blood sugar up. But I live in Florida, so you know we have to have grits. Quaker oats, the quick oats, that's what we used to have. But a friend of mine is coming back, and I said, bring some grits, but I don't think she's going to bring it in time for me to do it for you guys next week. So that's why I'm going to use polenta. Listen, when you're in a different country, you adapt, right? They don't have grits. I haven't been able to see it anywhere. But the polenta consistency is the closest that I could find. And I bought something the other day. Oh, something they make here called sashimi. That's not it. No, I don't have any. I used it. Yeah, but the polenta is the closest in terms of, consistency of the corn. But that's what I could find. That's what I'm going to use. And, I think with the coconut milk, it will be okay because, the thing for me with grits, the creaminess, I whisk my grits. I remember when I used to cook it, I used to have these customers come. They say, "Well, how come your grits are creamy?" I say, "All in the elbow." You use that to release the gluten, and that's what gives it the creamy consistency. Plus a lot of cream and butter, and which we're not going to be using. We can't have any of that. Hasta luego. Have a good day. You here in Panama? Wonderful. Temporary visa, great. Oh, I live on the Cinta Costera. Well, enjoy, because I think the rain's gonna come. Good thing you went earlier. It's usually too muggy for me. I only walk the Cinta in the evening when I can. All right, guys, you're welcome. Have a good day. Bye. Mwah.